public meeting of the Gettysburg Area School District Board of School Directors on this Monday, April 15th, 2019. I want to welcome all our guests tonight, especially the students in our music department and the music teachers that are here tonight. They're going to be giving us a presentation tonight. They're going to perform for us, and we always look forward to that. They do that every year, so we look forward to that tonight. The purpose of this meeting is to conduct the business of the Gettysburg Area School District. Public comment is welcome, and issues will be referred to the appropriate board, committee, or administrator. Please know that issues will not be debated in this public meeting. Comments will be summarized in the official board minutes, which will be available by contacting the business office. Please take a moment to silence your cell phones and other electronic devices. There will also be a short executive session following this meeting dealing with personnel. Mrs. Collins, roll call. All board members are present. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, now I'm going to turn this part of the meeting over to the music department and our students.
Sorry, I was following the agenda.
We switched it around a little.
Yeah, keep me on my toes, right?
Yep. Take your time.
While they're getting set up, I'm Leslie Woodward. I'm the music teacher at Lincoln Elementary. This is my 19th year here in the district. I've been at Lincoln all of those years and thoroughly enjoy my job. I want to give you a little background on this group of youngsters that are here. Each year since 1993, the Pennsylvania Music Educators District 7 has an elementary song fest where we gather students of our own. These students have been working with their music teachers and at home on their own time, learning music since January. And then this past Saturday, we brought them all together at Southwestern High School. They were part of a group that had included 175 students from 18 different school districts out of 7 counties. And we performed they performed some very beautiful, wonderful music under the direction of Dr. Talbot from Gettysburg College, accompanied by our very own Mrs. Bowman, who is on sabbatical this year. Mr. Surface, who could not be here tonight because of another rehearsal, had compiled a little bit of a history. The first Song Fest was in 1993, and it was at Cumberland Valley and called the All-Star Sing. And every year since then, we've been having groups take kids and the teachers, we all get together and take some. And it was hosted by Bill Surface here in Gettysburg in 1995. We then again hosted in 2003, Mr. Surface and myself, and then Mrs. Bowman, Mr. Sterner, Mr. Surface, and I hosted in 2013. Wasn't that what we decided? And we, I'm not sure, smartly or not, signed up to again host in 2023. So we'll be bringing the group to us, and it's a joy to watch these singers grow, make friends. Dr. Talbot on Saturday asked the kids in the middle of the concert, what has been your favorite part of the day? And at least 4 of the children that he asked said the new friendships that they had made and meeting new people. So it's a really neat experience. One thing that I'm a little sad about this year, usually we have 2 parts, but the parts we were assigned this year were all the same. So you will not, unfortunately, get to hear the beautiful harmonies, but we're going to have some fun with the beautiful melodies. The first piece that we are going to perform is from a group that Dr. Talbot actually edited and arranged with Matt Carlson, who's the director at Bermudian Springs High School, and it is 3 Balinese songs. These are basically the Old MacDonald's Yankee Doodles of the Balinese culture, and he put 3 of them together into a song. We're going to do 1 of them for you. The piano part is set to actually represent the gamelan ensemble music that you would hear in Bali. So these children actually are speaking Bali. And let's see, I do have a translation. The fishermen throw the net. I invite you to go catch the fish. There are a lot of big fish at the mouth of the river. So this is Jeru Penchar. And can you see me, Mr. Stern? Didn't we, guys?
All right. My name is Mrs. Megan Kubal, and I teach 6th through 12, so at both the middle and the high school. And my students behind me are the 6th graders of this crew, because we took 4th through 6th graders for our song fest. The piece that I will be conducting is Little Birch.
Dancing when the wind blows through. Jonas Sterner, the general music teacher and chorus teacher at James Geddes Elementary. Short wall. That was nice. Good evening. What a pleasure it was to be employed here starting in 2008. So I'm in my 11th year this year. When Jane Jones retired in 2008, her position opened up and I took that position. I was so grateful for that. And then recently we learned of her passing. And Dr. Talbot had connections with a student, Matt Carlson, who teaches in the area. And together, I suppose, and with others in the community, they composed a song in her memory. So this song, The Little Creek, is dedicated to the memory of Jane Jones. And how fitting to be able to participate in a song like this and share it with you. Again, we're so grateful to share these students. And before we sing the song, I'd like to have them share their names so you're aware of these rising stars that are here in Gettysburg. Could we start on this end and say your full name, your first name, and your last name anyway. Don't worry about your middle name. Go ahead.
Emma Kirk, Tessa Trax, Savannah Schneider, Wade Clark, Sam Kuba, Jackson Bush, Isabella Honorado, Elizabeth Gray, Goshen Renate, Brody Granger, Victoria Winter. Hi, Jean Hitler.
Thank you.
Come with me to the little creek, where my thoughts are running free. They might run swift or they might run deep, but these waters find their way through me. When we reach the hill, we'll follow it down, cross the rough and rocky ground, get a little bit lost and a little bit found, but it evens out when we hear that sound. Why are we so scared to search our centers? It may seem so, but every door you enter, you find a piece of something inside you never knew. Keep moving You've got your pain, I've got mine. It's hard to say it'll work out fine, but we can share the love, we can share a sign. At the creek, our dreams are by design. Why are we so scared to search our centers? It may seem so, but every door you enter, you find a piece of something inside you never knew. It flows in you and it flows in me. Some days you will find it, some days it's hard to see. There's twists and there's turns and there's lessons to learn by the creek. Take a breath and think. Please don't be so scared to search
participate in these activities, and we so much appreciate that you support us as we give our children these opportunities. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And students, thank you for sharing your talents with us tonight. Parents, you should be very proud of your child's talent, and I would hope, on behalf of the board, that you will continue to encourage your child to pursue the arts and continue in music, because they're very talented. Thank you. Thank you again, students.
Before the students leave, I'd also like to say that I had the privilege of seeing all of you perform this on Saturday. I was there with some of my students, and you all did a fantastic job representing Gettysburg, so thank you. Nice job.
May I say something to the music teachers before you go? If you'll wait 1 second. I just want to thank you for all of your hard work, your dedication, your selflessness makes such a difference in these students' lives. This is going to sound like a self-serving parent, but it's truly not. This is all about you. Mrs. Woodward, you've had my daughter. My daughter is a senior in college, pre-law, yes, and Alex as well. Pre-law student, has not done any musicals or anything like that in college. Went out for the University of Pittsburgh. Main stage production, was cast in the lead. And in large part because of the lessons you've taught her and the other music teachers in our district, she was called out by a professional theater critic as being, quote, one of the best vocal performances I've encountered in quite some time. So thank you all. Not a self-serving parent, that's about it.
Thank you.
We now are going to have another treat. We have from the senior high, is that correct? Yes. Violin trio. Would you like to introduce yourselves before you perform? Okay.
I'm Paige Creel, and this is Aya Sato and Leah McCall. All three of us are in the orchestra at the high school, and we have been performing together as a trio for about 3 years now under the direction of Dr. Adam Cordell. And Dr. Cordell does a lot in our school district. He's been trying to incorporate chamber music into the experience of a lot of Gettysburg students and students from other school districts. But because of our music program at Gettysburg,
amount of hours you had to put in to get that performance ready, I'm sure it was a lot, more than I probably did. Smile was very good at music. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Any board members?
Congratulations again to the faculty for the statewide recognition again this year.
Okay, we now have citizens' participation. First, we have Catherine Short. Good evening.
Good evening. Where's the voice? Somebody said it.
I say good evening.
Okay.
It's usually me,
All right.
not in front here.
Fine.
In the
I
center.
just wanted to take just a minute or two. I've been asked to come and speak. I know there's been some talk going on about the, whether or not to reinstate the full-time music position at the middle school. And I'm a band mom. I have a middle school band member. I have a grade school band member. And what I'd like to do is just kind of share how taking this one position affects more than just the middle school general music. It actually trickles down and it affects lots of students. And it's really boils down to, is it a need versus a want position? Do we need this position to come, or is it something we would like to have? And let's see, sorry about that. So I want to give you a little scenario of my 4th grade daughter and her little buddies getting ready to go to band class. So they get to go in their little groups and they have, 3 or 4 instruments going in. And so just visualize that Mrs. McDonald, the band director, is a foreign language teacher. And today, Joe Trombone is going to speak French, and Betty Piccolo is going to speak German, and, Allie Oboe is going to speak Spanish. Okay, you have 30 minutes to teach all 3 of them something. It's just really tough. And so when the position went away, basically what it's done is it's made the band directors have to fill in, teach the general music in the middle school class. So they have less time to go and do their basic band lessons for the younger children. So when you have 30 minutes to teach 4 different lessons to these children, there's not a lot of time for them to get a whole lot in class. And yeah, practice at home, blah, 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 that's fine. But when you teach somebody and they get excited, they're more inclined to want to practice more. They practice more, they succeed. They succeed, they stay in the program longer. They stay in the program longer, the program grows. And ultimately, you have a bigger high school band program. So, so really it kind of boils down to a lot of people are affected by if you could make this program, find a way to make it happen so that this teacher can come back, so that we can offer music to more children. We can grow the programs, because the band program is amazing. The orchestra program is amazing. The choral program is amazing. I don't know a lot about them because I don't go to those particular things. But yeah, so need versus want in my house, it's a big thing. Mom, I need this. Mom, I want it. Do you really need it? Do you really want it? I personally think we really need to get that teacher back on board so that we can help everybody in the district in the music department. So, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
Next, Benjamin Shear. Good evening, Benjamin.
Good evening. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for allowing us to affirm the importance of hiring a 7th and 8th grade general music education teacher tonight, for it is in everyone's interest to ensure that children today have the skills and discipline needed to handle the world of tomorrow. What students will get from a 7th and 8th grade general music education extends far beyond simply learning guitar or keyboard and some basic music theory. First and foremost, music is a fundamental aspect of human nature and spirit that would be absent in many students' middle school educations without a filled general music education position. According to Norman Weinberger, professor of psychobiology at the University of California, Irvine, The synapses connecting neurons in our brains are strengthened through use and weakened through disuse, with their strength determining the potency of the sensory, visual, and auditory systems, learning memory, cognitive system, and pleasure system. Brain scans taken of musicians while they played reveal that almost the entire cerebral cortex is active while playing, which shows that music performance works out the brain much like physical education does for the body. In 2015, MIT researchers scanned the brains of 10 subjects while playing 165 natural sounds, including speech, music, and everyday noises such as footsteps, discovering multiple neural populations adapted for tone, pitch, and music recognition. Seeing as music is as crucial an aspect to the human body as exercises, all 7th and 8th grade students should have a music education teacher. The guiding principle behind having education in the first place is that children need to have the skills they need to succeed in the modern world. Music education is as important as mathematics, English, history, and science because it builds core values that benefit the 4 core subjects and overall character necessary to flourish in adulthood. Expanded general music education will develop communication skills, integrity, work ethic, humility, and dedication of students in the Gettysburg Area School District by creating a creative outlet in which students work together to play music from all cultures and have fun in the process. For me, music education was a significant step in recovering when I moved from New Oxford to Gettysburg after my 2nd grade year. Losing all my friends, I secluded myself and closed myself from the rest of the world, but music education opened me back up again. Without music education to give me confidence and overcome my trepidation towards failure, I would have never considered speaking at a school board meeting. In addition to the significant character development that music education creates, data from decades ago and from cutting-edge modern research alike show overwhelming evidence that music improves cognitive function in children. In a 1975 study by Hurwitz et al., 40 minutes of music education daily for 7 months for 1st grade students made a group of students score in the 88th percentile for reading, while the control group that received the same instruction and had the same average IQ and socioeconomic status scored in the 72nd percentile. As shown in the College Board's Total Group Profile Report of 2015 college-bound seniors, students who have taken a music performance class earn 64 more points on the critical reading section of the SAT, 50 points higher on the math section, and 60 points higher on the writing section when compared to students not in an art class. This profile report reveals that students in music classes earn much higher test scores than those not in music classes. When combined with the study of 1st grade students, it is clear that this increase is not just due to smarter, hardworking students pursuing music classes more often. Music education itself benefits cognitive ability. Therefore, by filling the vacancy for a 7th and 8th grade general music education teacher in the middle school, students would improve test scores despite losing time in core classes and would gain critical career skills that benefit our collective future. Many students are in positions far worse than what I went through from moving to Gettysburg. Students who go to bed hungry, lost parents, or experience child abuse, who wonder what the point in living is. Music education provides an outlet for students to express themselves creatively that cannot be rivaled by core classes, allowing them to work together to learn basic music and instruments, making them perform better in academics and develop integrity, humility, confidence, and determination. Therefore, I strongly urge that you fill the vacant music education position in the middle school to benefit the Gettysburg community and ensure that our youth will grow into capable adults. Thank you.
Thank you, Benjamin. Do you feel better now? A little more relaxed? First time? Yep. We'll welcome you back. You can come back again sometime. Now you're ready, right?
Yep. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next, we have Savannah Hochberg.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Savannah Hochberg. I'm a senior at Gettysburg Area High School. I play the viola and I sing in the Gettysburg Area High School choir. I am extremely involved in Gettysburg's music department, as I am the intern for Krista Creel and the vice president of Gettysburg's Triumph Honor Society. I'm here tonight to tell my story of my involvement in Gettysburg Area Music Department over the years and how important music is to me. I began playing the viola in the 4th grade. I always wanted to play an instrument because as a child I was fascinated by music. Along with my other peers, we found something that brought us happiness and something to do, even as 10-year-olds. For the next 8 years, I became extremely involved in my instrument and music in general. In the 7th grade, I entered Krista Creel's 7th and 8th grade orchestra. The first year under Krista Creel challenged me, not only as a musician, but as a person. I became more responsible, self-aware of my strengths and weaknesses, and became a hard worker. Having orchestra in middle school brought me many performance opportunities that I would not have had if Gettysburg not have an orchestra program. We participated in many festivals and traveled to new places as 7th graders. That same year, the 7th graders had the opportunity to have a general music class. In this general music class, we learned and played guitar. Excluding orchestra, it was my favorite class. There were many kids with me in that class who were not in orchestra, band, or choir, but they loved it. It was a nice break from the constant academic pressure students have to endure at school. In the 8th grade, I decided to join the choir because I had the opportunity to. Joining the choir resulted in many friends that I'm still close to with this day as a senior. However, in the 8th grade, there was no music class. A lot of kids, non-music kids included, were very disappointed. I would have loved to take a keyboard class in the 8th grade. In the 9th grade, the orchestra went to Virginia Beach to compete. Last year we went to Disney, which was the best week of my life. The music department has provided me with so many travel opportunities that I will be forever grateful for. Gettysburg's music department has given me many opportunities and friendships over the years. All of my close friends are involved in the music department, and if Gettysburg never had a music department, I would have never had those experiences and long-lasting friendships. Because of the amazing music teachers in our district I have had, Jill Marzoft, Jamie Bowman, and Krista Creel, I will be attending West Virginia University for music education in the fall. The music department in Gettysburg has shaped my future, and because of my wonderful experience, I now can follow my passion of music. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Savannah, and good luck at West Virginia.
Thank you.
Next is Heather Ripien.
Hello, my name is Heather Ripien. I'm a senior at Gettysburg Area High School, and I have been involved with music for as long as I can remember. Actually, in elementary school, most of my memories that I can recall have been in a music course, and I remember even learning Spanish counting to 10 in a music course in elementary. In middle school, it was the most impactful. I remember 8th grade Miss Berwick. Even during resource, sometimes she would teach me piano when I didn't have anything else to do, and it was really nice. I enjoyed learning it. Guitar was also a very nice class. I remember there were students in there, like Savannah said, who they aren't involved in music in high school today, but they really enjoyed music then, and it was a very nice break from academics. I'm not exactly the most athletic person, and I never have been, so it was very nice to be able to participate in courses such as music then. In high school, I've taken music theory and I'm in chorus. I have been in chorus since 4th grade. It's been 9 years, and I've also joined the musicals. I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I've had within the high school with all the music. I do wish, however, I would have been able to learn piano. My family has never been the most wealthy financial people, and I really think it would be beneficial if in the future possibly high school could even have piano classes. I think it would help out a lot of kids financially if they would be able to learn them there, because not all kids get the opportunity to take them outside of school. And I also think it would be very beneficial to the middle school to be able to reinstate the position that was lost for the 7th and 8th grade general music. I personally, that was one of my favorite experiences of middle school, and it's one of the most memorable. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you, especially to the seniors. Thank you for sharing your passion about music with the board tonight. Thank you very much. Next, we have Nicole Pritchard.
Good evening, members of the school board. My name is Nicole Pritchard. My daughter's in the 4th grade at James Geddes Elementary. James Geddes used to be a wonderful school for our kids to attend. It was involved in the community. There were programs that the children could attend after school, at Christmas time, there were clothing drives, there were coat drives. In the past year, since Ms. Harrison has left, there's been a complete disconnect. There's been little to no communication from the principal. When you walk into the office, it's very uninviting. Through the past year, I've heard rumblings from other parents, and I kind of just blew it off because, you know, I know how parents complain and they're not always satisfied with what's going on. Recently, I had several parents approach me about the police having a constant presence at the school, and I also brushed this off because I knew that they did frequent check-ins at each school just to make sure that the kids were safe and everything was kosher at the schools. But when my daughter said to me that the police are always at school and the 5th graders have been on a constant lockdown, that's when I decided to do some investigating and kind of see what's been going on. 3 weeks ago, a parent came in spewing threats. Their child had been bullied on the bus, and she said that she was going to blow up the front office. I understand that the police were contacted, and the Gettysburg Police are doing their job by investigating, but as a parent, we should be notified when these things are happening. With the mass school shootings that have happened previously, as a parent, I don't feel safe knowing that these things are happening and I'm not being notified. My daughter is biracial, and it's been reported by the front office staff to Dr. Lay that there have been questionable comments made by Lisa Royak about a black boy that was in the front office. She asked him to repeat his name 3 times, and she couldn't pronounce it. And on the 3rd time, when she could not pronounce it, she said, "You people and your names." With the climate that we live in, is that the ignorance that we want to teach our children? 5th grade has been on a lockdown the majority of the year. Recess was taken from. They've had to eat lunch alone. And it's almost like they're being treated like they're in a juvenile detention center. I understand bad behavior, but we treat the behavior, not all of the children. This is a small community. Everybody knows everybody. I know Michaela's did gymnastics with her son. Ms. Harrison lives 1 block away from my grandma. When we would go on walks, Ms. Harrison would talk to Michaela all the time. Ms. Royak has had no connection to this community. There's been clothing drives and coat drives, like I said previously, and her comment was, "I'm not here to clothe this community. Education is key." Well, I understand education is key. How do you educate students that don't have? In closing, James Gettys used to be a school filled with love. You could feel it when you walked in the door. Recently, when I picked up my daughter for an appointment, Ms. Roy walked into the office. No smile, no hello. Her comment was, "What are you doing here?" And if you know me, I always have a comeback. I was so caught off guard, I didn't even know what to say to her. I've called the superintendent and have not received a call back. And I feel as a taxpayer and a parent that we deserve answers. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have Valerie Andrews.
Hi, I'm here to discuss the same thing as Nikki. I've met with Dr. Perrin and Dr. Lay in the previous week regarding my concerns, but I really feel it's important that you are all aware as well. A lot of the same sentiments as Nikki. This is my last year in this school. My children have been there for the past 9 years. It was the best school I could have ever have asked for my kids. But I'm here because, I could just say whatever to all of this because I'm out of here in a couple weeks. But I love the school so much, and the teachers so much, and the staff so much, and I have friends that have their kids in that school. And it is a different school when you walk in there. It is not what it used to be. And I know things change, but it is true, when you walk in there, you do not feel welcome. It is not the same. I haven't had a whole lot of interactions with Mrs. Roy yet, but the few that I have had not been the best. I literally was within 3 feet of her several times in the office, and she never once looked at me. She never once said hi, introduced herself, not at all. And, second here, you know, I'm here for myself because of some of the experiences. One, for example, would be, and it upset me because it was with my son. My son is a really good kid, and he's one of the kindest people you'll ever meet. And he was holding the door for Mrs. Royette one morning to walk in with his little broken arm in his cast. And she bumped into him, and he almost fell over. And she did not say, thank you for holding the door, or sorry I bumped into you. He came home and told me about this. He didn't know what to think. Like, an adult did that, the principal, and didn't say a word to him. That made an impression on him. And I told him, you just keep going and behaving like that and opening doors for people, because there will be somebody who thanks you for doing that. It's just, like I said, the whole atmosphere has changed. The kids don't feel comfortable. I personally know a teacher or two, and I know they are not happy. I don't know whether or not that's been shared with anybody. And I don't have any more information than that. I just know it's not a happy place to be anymore. One of my biggest issues, though, is the safety issue. I've been in here before talking about safety. Back when the last school shooting happened, I just wanted to make sure that we had the proper protocol in place for our school. And until this most recent thing happened, which was the parent saying whatever they said in the office, I was just gonna be quiet about everything. But once that happened, and I realized that you guys might need to know what is going on or not going on, there was actually my best friend, so this is not coming from me, this is coming from my best friend, whose son and another student saw a person by the woods behind the school during recess. And teachers were told, the principal was told, but not once did the principal reach out to those students and ask them what they saw. I called in, emailed a couple times to the school to try to get an answer, or at least is somebody checking on this, and never heard a thing. So when this other issue came up recently, that really made me concerned. I want to know my kid is safe. And I really hope you guys are checking into this stuff. From what I was talking to Dr. Lay and Dr. Perrin, they said they talked to people involved. I heard from one particular person and another person that they were not talked to about it. I don't know. I wasn't there. But that's concerning if they're saying they haven't been talked to, and that was one of the people that saw it. I'm just pointing out my concerns and my fears. I just want to make sure that this is really paid attention to. Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. Next, we have Dawn Harvey.
Good evening. My name is Dawn Harvey, a lifelong resident of Gettysburg and a graduate of Gettysburg High School. And may I just point out that public speaking was not my best topic while I was in high school, so bear with me here. I have two children in the Gettysburg School District, one in 8th grade, the other in 3rd grade at James Geddes Elementary. My reason for speaking to you all this evening is due to having many questions, being very concerned, as well as extremely frustrated. The current school year at James Geddes, in my opinion, has been a disaster. Just a few examples of this would be the number of times the police have been called to the school, the fact that they have additional police visiting school on a routine basis. Another concern is the lack of discipline in the school, children that are out of control, injuring staff and destroying school property, children that have left the facility and had to be chased down, the pick your battles type approach the teachers are to take while many children are running amok in the school. Another is the fact that many of the staff are absolutely miserable, with several looking to transfer to another school or leave the district. Being a very involved parent, I've spent a great deal of time volunteering and working with this staff. It absolutely breaks my heart to see what this year has done to them. They are exhausted, feel depleted, and emotionally drained. The district is extremely blessed to have this staff, and it's beyond my wildest comprehension why this staff is having to deal with all they are dealing with on a daily basis. Many are overwhelmed and frustrated with the lack of support and communication and leadership. What I would ask the administration, with so many complaints, phone calls, emails, and meetings with parents, why have they not taken the time to go over and meet with the staff? Meet with them individually or in an open forum type meeting. Makes me wonder if they're afraid to hear the truth. Finally, my biggest concern, security. There was a situation that happened within the past few weeks involving an irate parent in the office making some sort of verbal threat in front of several people. Not to mention, a few days after this happened, the same parent was permitted back into the school before any type of investigation was completed and parents notified. I feel that by taking the time...
Excuse me, ma'am, you're the third person to make that allegation. What is your source of information? How do you know that those threats were made?
Because I have personally spoke to several people that were there at the time that it happened.
And who?
I'm not gonna mention names.
And why is that?
Because I don't feel it's fair to them. I'm speaking from how I feel.
I can represent to the board that incident that she's referring to was fully investigated, and it is not as been represented. There were no threats made to blow up the school, to hurt anybody. That's just not true.
Okay, I haven't stated that, so if you'll let me finish though. I feel that by taking the time to investigate and then communicate the facts of what happened to the staff and to the parents would have stopped the stories and gossip. In my opinion, the situation was not taken very seriously by the school administration. I did meet with Dr. Perrin and Dr. Lay last week in regards to the situation, and their lack of knowing the specifics is very concerning to me. Another situation that bothers me immensely is the fact that some children, while playing outside of recess, saw someone by the woods watching the children play. Several parents called or contacted the school with their concerns and never received any information back in regards to it. When I spoke to Dr. Perrin, Dr. Lay, and Officer Kiefer, none of them knew anything about it. Why? Whose decision was it not to share this information with administration or the parents? Why was this being swept under the rug? In my closing, I would like to say this. In the past week or so, I've spoken to many James Gettys parents and staff, Dr. Perrin, Dr. Lay, and Officer Kiefer. The conversation has many times turned to the fact that the demographics for James Gettys have changed dramatically in the past few years. While I do agree and understand this, my concern is how you go from a blue ribbon educational institution to the mess in such a short period of time. When I say a short period of time, I mean within the past 8 to 9 months. As I go through the list of concerns I've mentioned here tonight, there seems to be one common denominator, which is the administration. I truly believe it is time to take a long, hard look at this situation and start to take it seriously. I think it is time to put aside personal agendas and right the wrong. I personally feel this is the wrong fit for not only our community, our teachers and staff, but most importantly, for our children. In my opinion, it is evident that the lack of communication, discipline, respect, and leadership is the main reason James Gettys has taken such a drastic turn for the worse. James Gettys was known not so long ago for being one of the safest, friendliest, and most welcoming places for our children to receive an outstanding education. This is no longer the case. Several parents have stated to me they feel it has turned into a prison for their children, where parents feel that parent involvement is not openly appreciated or welcomed. I ask you to put yourselves in our shoes as parents. Would you want your children to be put in this type of situation? My heart breaks for the 5th graders and their parents. For years, they've had mostly fond memories of James Gettys. Unfortunately, they cannot say the same for their last year in elementary school, the one that will be remembered and talked about the most. In this limited amount of time, I'm really just touching the surface. I'm more than happy to meet one-on-one with any one of you. As a parent, I don't feel that I'm doing my job unless I stand up for what I feel is right for my children. I hope you can understand and respect this and take the time to seriously look into this and make the necessary changes. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Board members, you have before you a letter that I received today from the staff, teaching staff at James Gettys. And Carrie would like to just sort of highlight some of that?
So the letter is addressed to Mr. Wampler, and it begins with, "We welcome the changes brought to James Getty Elementary by Ms. Lisa Rourke this year," and begins to list the positive changes, including an introduction of cross-grade level morning meeting that encompasses One Book, One School initiative, as well as building positive student relationships across the grade level. Introduction of the growth mindset, not only for students, but also for staff. She has consistently supported teachers by conducting monthly PLC conversations related to growth mindset. In the second paragraph, we recognize the changing dynamics and demographics in the Gettysburg Area School District, and because of this year, the school district is beginning to look at protocols for conduct and discipline, as well as positive behavioral recognition of students to make the policies consistent across all buildings within the school district. Mrs. Rourke is very well read on current research and is at the forefront of introducing new teaching practices within the building to encourage positive behaviors and interactions. Her expertise has been instrumental in the expansion of our current ESAP program. She has brought forth ideas such as buddied classrooms, documenting of needs and techniques to help staff and students, and even creating a calming down space within the building. We are confident in her abilities to lead our building through these changes. And the last paragraph, it is our hope that open conversations will be held to ensure that our schools continue to be a safe and positive environment for all students, families, and staff of the Gettysburg area. It's signed sincerely, members of the James Getty staff.
Okay. Now, building and program information, Dr. Kern. Oh, I'm sorry, let me jump back. Board committee reports.
There is nothing with the legislative committee.
Finance, Buildings, and Grounds meets this Thursday. We'll continue to talk about items that will be on the budget. So it's 4 o'clock on Thursday.
The Communications Committee meets on April 24th.
The Policy Committee has a tentative policy for, I guess this is a first reading tonight, and then in a month it'll become a second reading and so on. Related to Policy 904, public attendance at school events, main focus being the stadium during the fall, I believe, and under the administrative guidelines is where most of the changes have taken place, and most of the concern centered around unaccompanied youth, middle school and younger students not having a parent or an adult, and basically our administrative team spending the better part of their Monday debriefing and doing damage control from the weekend football game or whatever the event might be at the stadium. And then also in the policy itself, this may or may not be new. The drone issue, is that new or was that in the policy before, Dr. Barron, do you know?
The policy before.
It was, very good. That's kind of a more recent event, so I thought maybe that was new. But that'll be up for tentative approval tonight.
We also just informed the board that the Gettysburg will be hosting on May 9th at 7 o'clock at the middle school. Countywide, all county schools will be there. We have a forum to present to the public. We're inviting all the public, so please inform the public, and all of you are invited, about cyber charter school costs, the real cost of cyber charter schools, in support of the legislation from the House and Senate. Hopefully that will come out of the education committees if they get enough prodding. So please make sure you make your calls to your local representative and continue. They need to hear from us. They need to get a lot of phone calls, so appreciate that. So, and I would hope that you'd be in attendance at that meeting on May 9th. Right now,
Good evening. We launched our PSSA assessments in many of our buildings today, and some will initiate that tomorrow. So our goal is to complete the English Language Arts assessments this week before our spring break. We'll return and conduct the math, and then a few grades will administer the science assessments as well. tomorrow, because the high school doesn't administer PSSAs. We'll be working here with our steering committee on our improvement plan with our lead, Tanya Moret from the IU. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a reminder, I think that Andrew sent an email reminder out today that Wednesday evening is the anxiety depression presentation by Dr. Montminy at the middle school. There was a link in that email to register. It helps us provide childcare if needed, those kinds of things. So folks are interested in coming to that. Dr. Montminy will be with us pretty much all day that day. We'll be with our counselors and psychologists in the afternoon, meeting with the district administrative team late afternoon, and then doing the parent presentation in the evening. So we're really excited to have him here. So hope that if folks are able to attend, that they can do that. And I'll have a couple of slides at the end of the meeting. Number 19.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to our business items. Personnel, item 9.12, including item 9.5.
Second.
Discussion, questions?
And I apologize for the late question. I was just surprised to see that I think we're adding 18 people to help us out with buildings and grounds. We really have that much work to do in the summertime?
This is typically how many we
So-
hire. They're all part-time people throughout the year. They're 9-month employees, so we employ them in the summer to do the deep cleaning throughout the room. Do you want to add anything, Jonathan?
This is when we get into a team cleaning mode.
Yep.
From top to bottom, from basically the ceiling line down, which when we do the team cleaning. It makes a big difference in the buildings.
Yeah.
That's why we go out and say, employees look great. That's why they look great.
Mr. Crosby, does that include also the outside area, correct?
We also, there's a couple folks in here that will join our grounds crew, that will do the mulching, some of the trimming, some of the menial things that allow grounds keepers to take care of the fields and do some more of the technical work.
Thank you.
That's right.
No wonder the grounds look so good, and the buildings as well.
Well, look at the amount that they have to, just mowing alone.
Sure.
And the time consumption on that.
If I may add, quite a few of those people, remember, it's the summer, they work for us during the year, they take vacations, so these folks aren't typically there every day, all day for the summer, and to get the work done, it takes a variety of people to work those schedules out.
And now, I think what I found out too is the same amount as last year hired, so it's typically what we hire each year. Any other questions? Okay, we'll take the vote. Jim?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Sylvan?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes?
Mike?
Yes.
Alice?
Yes?
Ken?
Yes.
And I vote yes. We move on to policy, items 12.1 and 12.2. The Act 80 days for seniors and the tentative approval of policy 904, the public attendance at school events that Al addressed.
So moved. Second?
Open for discussion or questions.
I'm curious, and Al, I don't mean to put you on the spot, so I've been reading the policy and that's up for tentative, and I noticed that electronic cigarettes are included in that, and lack of knowledge, does that include vaping? And then does that need to be separated out? It's something that has become almost epidemic in what you hear in the news, so something to think about, and then where else that may have legs into handbooks, other documents that direct that.
That's a really good question, and I'm not sure that was part of our discussions. I may have to defer to the administrative team on that one.
I would ask Mr. Lusk. I think that's one of the same.
I would say electronic cigarettes include.
It is
I would
the same.
Fueling, any terminology
Okay.
that relate to that.
Okay.
And the changes that have come through the policy committee started with a committee of Wayne, Crosby, Jeremy Lusk, and also Casey Thurston. We're all part of putting that together to bring it to policy.
And the other thing I would just say about this, Even though some of these adjustments are new to us, we are just getting on board with a lot of other school districts who have already had similar policies or are in the process. So we're with the rest of the schools on this.
Anything else? All right, take the vote. Al?
Yes.
Sylvan?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Alice?
Yes?
Ken?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
And I vote yes. On to business and finance, item 17.1, the budget transfers so far this year. This is typically something that we do each year.
Second.
Discussion, questions? All right, hearing none. Sylvan?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Alice?
Yes?
Ken?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Under the financial report, item 18.1, pay the bills.
So.
And second?
Okay, we're open for discussion or questions. All right, hearing none, I'll call the vote. Kathleen?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Alice?
Yes?
Ken?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Sylvan?
Yes.
And I vote yes. That concludes all our business items for the night. I do want to thank the business office for diligently putting together the budget transfers. Keep those in line, and Tom does that. Okay, good job. All right. Then we got the information items.
Yeah, I just have like a 2-slide update instead of 22. Be 22 for May. But just since April 1, 2 weeks ago, a couple of things I've been working on, and then just the timeline from May through June with regards to budget development. Thanks, Andrew. So Brad and I continue to work through, we continue to look through the audit information from back in December. Just to look for kind of spending efficiencies where we can find them as we continue to work towards the May 6th recommendation. Since our last meeting, Tom continues to review revenue data. We'll use the most updated data possible for May 6th. So we'll do a check real close to there. And we'll use the most up-to-date information so we're as accurate as we can be. And then data will then again be updated prior to the final budget on June 17th to make sure we catch any changes like we did last year whenever we started at one increase and then ended up settling a little bit below that. Business office continues to review special education costs and budget. The main thing they're still looking at is the projected tuition costs for our students in placements outside the district. The SBRs, we currently, working with Casey, reduced the total SBR from 240 to 220 to account for a first step of the possibility for JV lacrosse for next year. And then we continue to refine all areas as things come up. We want to be as accurate as we can on May 6th, knowing that, of course, a preliminary budget can change prior to June 17th.
Jason, specifically, I was going to hold these comments.
Sure.
On the SBRs, May, where's the date, May 6th? May 6th.
Yeah.
See, what you're asking, if I understand this right, is May 6th, we tentatively adopt a budget which would include either the approval for one or all three of the SBRs that we know, correct?
So, right, so what I would do is I would give you kind of a full package. So I would say for the proposed budget, we're proposing funding these these SBRs, taking a look at
here's how much fund balance we would use, here's how much fund balance we would leave over, and here's the tax rate recommendation.
Well, thinking out loud and staying consistent with what I've said for the last several months, I think it would be very helpful that the people that put the SBRs in are at that May 6th meeting. Because I can tell you, there's a whole host of questions on several of them, and it should be answered by the people that are backing or asking for those SBRs. They give a different insight, you know, and I can
It's already taken care of.
Thank you. They'll be here then.
Got it. Yep. Next slide. Right, so next steps, a number of the dates are to hit state required timelines. So if you look at adopting a final budget June 17th, you can do a public hearing anytime before that. It could be June 3rd, it could be May 20th. We just have that as a placeholder. And then the May 6th meeting would be to adopt a proposed budget. We would send the information out to y'all in about a week in advance of that meeting. And if there are any questions, then we would hopefully have a good robust discussion on the 6th. We'll get the information out probably at least a week in advance of that meeting, so you have time to digest it and get any questions asked that you might have.
I actually have to return back to that. The SBR on the proposed budget, each of them, will they be voted on individually, or are they going to be part of a package of a proposed budget?
I'll be recommending a package.
So if a board member or several, and I don't want to speak for anyone here, does not back or agree with one or two of the SBRs, that's kind of puts us in a position, I may be, it's me, in agreement with your proposed budget minus this particular SBR. And the elimination of that SBR, unless Brad's coming here with several different mitts on, changes what your proposed hike or rate or lack of rate is going to be.
Sure. Our goal is to, by the time we get to a proposed budget, and certainly, any board member can move to pull something out or put something in, to a budget. But I would hope to come with a recommendation that would say, here's what this whole package funds, and then the board can either approve or not approve that, approve something different, pull something at that point, through the discussion, folks can do that.
Just for clarification, on May 6th, we have to approve some preliminary budget, correct?
Has to be 30 days prior to the final. So the other thing you have to start doing if you don't, like if this was drafted as a timeline to meet all of those dates. The other thing you can do is, you move meetings around. You say, instead of this Monday, we do it this Monday, and then you can start. But that basically is just mapping out what has to be done in terms of hitting kind of the state guidelines, and also about the time. Remember last year we were at about 1.2% in May, and then as we got updated data at the beginning of June, then we were able to adjust that right before we did the final budget. So, the proposed budget generally does change at least a little bit until you get to June.
Yeah, I would think, and I'm thinking out loud, that when you have an SBR, and I'll just pick one of them, let's just say the music department, that has such, in that particular SBR, potentially has such a impact, long range, good and bad, depending on which side of the fence you're looking at. And you're going to put it into a budget. If that's a sticking point of one of the board members, then you're not going to get a vote of yay on that particular package. I'm having trouble with the SBRs. There ought to be a discussion as to see where, it's hard, Al, you understand what I'm saying here? I'm not saying it right.
Can I suggest something? Is your concern that an SBR might be a one-time cost, or it may be a cost that has to be sustained over future years?
I think it's both, and it also includes, in particular, on some of these SBRs, stuff that this board's already put in motion by vote that hasn't even happened yet, and we're asked to look to the future. And I could be wrong on my analogy of this, but I would hate to have a budget that includes an SBR that but we haven't been able to debate.
I would say, think a little bit about, my role and my goal, in this role of superintendent, is to take care of both the short-term and long-term, health of the district. And it's to make good recommendations to all of you for action. I'm the recommender. So if I bring something forward May 6th and say, for this, we can fund all of this, it'll be because we can. And basically, when I approach SBRs, I really try, if we're able, obviously to, our administrative staff does a fantastic job of really kind of keeping the wants to a minimum. So when they bring those things to us, we really try to find a way to incorporate that into our budget. So if I'm recommending it, I'm basically in some way or another kind of assuring that short-term, long-term, that we're okay. But certainly at any point, the board is the board. I'm making a recommendation and the board can.
Correct, and I was trying to, and so we weren't here May 6th, going back and forth. And for example, one SBR, I have 14 separate questions related to one SBR. But prior to voting on proposed budget, I'd like to at least hear an answer, both short-term and long-term, as to its effect to the district, both positive and negatively.
And I would be, those questions would be welcome on May 6th, and the people that are closest to the request would be here to answer those.
Besides me.
And I think, I'm sorry.
How many SBRs are there?
Three.
Well, there's 3 SBRs, but there's also another major recurring expense. I believe as part of the technology plan, we have a instructional technology coach that would be.
It was paid for in this year's budget.
And I'm still trying to understand that a little bit.
We created the 5-year tech plan. The goal was to increase support for teachers and their development instructionally, as we were able to find less costly solutions to things like hardware and software. So over that 5-year period of time, hardware costs decline at a rate that allows us to add the support staff. And the way that we put it into the 5 years is that we really took the big jump. Really, the first 3 coaches we're building to approving the 18-19 budget. So approving the 3rd coach for this year is a net zero. It's a net zero. The increases to our budget in future years would be where we would consider adding more than 3 coaches, 4 coaches, or 5 coaches, and that's when we would have to break that out. But prior to that, that's when we would really start, after having the 3rd one on board, we really start taking a look at how they're being used, what's been the success, those kinds of things. I know that our current coaches have developed a survey for teachers that they're going to be using, and they'll get some baseline information this year, but we have to remember that the 2nd coach came on board in November this year. So I think that they get some baseline information in May this year. They could redo it again in April next year and would have 2 years of data while we have 3 coaches. And basically at that point, as we make decisions down the road, if we decide to go the route of a 4th or 5th coach, that's where it would have an impact on the budget. But in terms of this coach for this year, we kind of built that and planned that whenever we approved the 5-year tech plan last year.
But for the budgetary plan long-term, that is a additional position that we are going to have as a recurring expense.
Yes.
Year in.
They're recurring costs, correct.
So I think that makes it at least worth a discussion for us. The other thing, I guess, that's kind of frustrating, I'll speak for myself, and I don't know if anybody else feels this way, not knowing what the administration's recommendation is as to the millage increase or the percentage increase before May 6th is a little concerning to me. I would like a little more time to digest that. When I vote on the preliminary budget on May 6th, I want to, a month later, be able to stand by that vote and someone but maybe like some others, I like to take some time to digest things. So the SBRs, I believe, is the music position, the social worker, and the lacrosse. And then as part of the tech plan, that will be a recurring personnel expense after this year, since it's already built into this budget, will be the new instructional technology coach. So we're looking at 3 professional positions and an extracurricular activity as the major items that would impact this budget. I recognize there's a lot of unknowns with what state subsidy is going to be, what our final revenue is going to be, and so on, but I know we've got some very intelligent people here on our administrative team who can probably give us a pretty good estimate about, you know, what we're going to be recommending. And again, the sooner the better that I know what that number is, it's going to help me decide, or can we do all that, or do we have to pick and choose a little bit and prioritize?
Right, and that's why we're gonna send it, you know, probably 7 to 10 days ahead of May 6th. If there are questions, we're open to answer them.
I'm gonna circle back to Kenny's comment. When you think about the 3 functions of the board, one is to hire and evaluate the superintendent, another one is to approve the budget, and the third is to set board policy. And then we have these avenues like committees where we can also have a voice. So the next Finance, Buildings, and Grounds Committee is on Thursday, and certainly the outcomes from that, the meeting minutes will help to also make those additional information available before May 6th. If there's something that needs to be on that agenda, that can be added.
Carrie, I absolutely agree with you. But I also believe the function of the board is the people who are sitting out here get to hear why I'm voting a particular way, and especially when it comes for an SBR that we've had the public come in here and ask for. And if there are questions looming based upon votes that this board made over the last year, I would rather have each of these board members hear my question in this type of forum and hear my reasoning on it, and they can decide for themselves whether or not I went off the train to the left or if I'm still going straight here. And I didn't want to get to May 6th and have this big argument about an SBR that holds up our proposed budget. That's my only point.
So are you asking for another public discussion?
You can bring the,
SBRs or
I'll
something else?
tell you what you can do. You're right, the administration is quite capable of doing that. Bring the proposed budget. What I'm saying up front, there are questions with 1 or 2 of the SBRs that need to be answered prior to any vote, in my opinion only. Because I have no idea where the administration stands as we sit here tonight on those SBRs. And they have long range effects.
So, our take on that always, whether I'm working with the high school principal, the middle school principal, or even, Dr. Lang, working through these things, we go into it trying to figure out a way to do it. So if we come and recommend it, it's because what the folks have asked for are valid, and we were able to work it out and both ensure the short and long-term fiscal health of the district.
And to clarify something, we are being presented with 3 SBRs. However, the Finance, Buildings, and Grounds Committee received more than 3 SBR requests, or just these 3?
Those 3 are the ones that don't fit into other budget items that are kind of new positions, right? Sure. Thanks, Andy.
Looking at that next steps 1920 calendar up there, what I'm hearing then, and I'm asking this question based on experience in 2 different states, May 20th is the only time the public will be heard about our budget for 1920?
No, it can be, it's basically a placeholder. It could be May 20th, it could be June 3rd. It just has to be between the proposed budget and the final budget.
And what will they have in their hands in order to ask questions?
We post everything from all of our meetings consistently. We post everything right on our website under the budget information.
Okay,
We
thank
also
you.
prepare and publish a newsletter that summarizes the budget. We're trying to make sure that that's in the hands of everybody before the hearing. That's one of the reasons that date is there as a placeholder, but it's not set in granite.
Right, you
We
may
want to make sure that we gives the public as much opportunity as we can to have them look at that. As far as when they can provide input, they can provide input at any time. That happens to be a designated opportunity where we invite it specifically, but we invite public comment at any time on our budget. That's why we post to the website everything regarding the budget. This little presentation will be up there, I'm sure, tomorrow. Every time we have a presentation, the contents go up so that our public can be as informed as they wish to be and maybe more. And I would just reiterate our invitation to you as board members to send questions to us. If you have questions beforehand, the best answer is one that the right people have the right amount of time to prepare an answer for and get back to you so you have the best information possible. So we invite you to continue to send any questions you have to us.
And they'll also be present.
So you provided me with the correct answers and the correct information. Thank you.
I agree. I'm gonna forecast this. We're gonna have an issue on May 6th with these SBRs because we have not debated them. And I guarantee there are questions that this board is sitting on that on May 6th are gonna come up and we're either not gonna have the answer or the answer is not gonna satisfy us and we're gonna have a proposed budget to vote on that's gonna have an SBR or two in there, potentially. Because we don't know that, but potentially it could be in there. And I'm just saying, take a deep breath and think there gotta be another way here.
Carrie, my understanding then that our meeting, since I'm on your committee, we would be permitted to have 4 board members in attendance. We could not have 5. And if we didn't have 4, then somebody could be notified that we don't have 4 and that somebody could attend.
Correct.
Okay.
No, technically, it's a public meeting.
Committees are public meetings.
Public meetings, anybody can attend.
Right, so what you're saying then is that if that's a public meeting, we could have 9 people on that committee meeting on Thursday?
As long as it's published, as long as there's notice, yes, absolutely.
I'm confused, Carrie, you look confused too.
I am. I guess we've had, so maybe just to clarify, sitting at the table part of the discussion or in the audience area behind it, what are you saying that we can have all board members present at the committee meeting and discussing that?
Right, all the Sunshine Act requires is notification and that it's open to the public. And that applies to committee meetings as well. And if the board, now the board has its own rules about committees and their makeup, but if the board wants to have all 9 members at a committee session, all 9 members can be there and participate and be in compliance with the Sunshine Act.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, thanks for the
That clarifies things.
So Thursday, 4 o'clock?
Okay?
Yeah, I'll just make a final comment. If we're talking about a 0 tax increase, I'm in favor of all these positions. So depending upon what we're talking But depending upon what we're talking about and what we're talking about in a tax increase, this community has been really good to the school district and really supports the school district and so on. And I think it's a delicate balance there, and that's what we've got to be careful of. And by knowing what the recommendation is going to be for the increase would really help me, in my mind, start prioritizing. I don't know if I speak for anybody else or not.
Obviously we take that, one of the key, if you remember from the very first presentation in January, one of the key things that we balance is kind of the needs for programming with respecting, the community's resources. So I know whenever I came to the district last year, and went through the first budget process last year, I'm trying to hold true to kind of what I set as the target of saying, let's try to do kind of lower, consistent increases over time and try to avoid kind of the up and down. So that's certainly the target that we're shooting for, and that's where we're going.
Thank you. Please trust me, I'm not criticizing your process. That's not where I'm going with this, but, if we're gonna be honest here, we look at this budget, and this is the second year through it, really nobody's out here nitpicking every line item. Administrators give us a budget, we trust them, they're hard, they're competent, beyond words. The only thing that we can control on this budget right now, to a degree of certainty, is these SBRs. And we're gonna come in, 7 to 10 days of hearing it, then I can follow up with questions, because none of these board members are gonna hear my question, how it's phrased, and/or the response. Tom's seen it, so May 6th, I guess, we'll convene and we'll have that discussion if it's in there. Yep. We'll be good.
Thanks, Andy.
Is there anything else? I see May 6th, the time to ask those questions and to discuss them. Okay, administration will be here. I know, being a past administrator, that superintendents, assistant superintendent, business manager, they meet with the administration. They work through the budget before they bring it. So I'm just pointing that out a little bit. But
Yeah, Carlos, I absolutely agree with you. Maybe I'm not articulating it right. But if an SBR is going to be a reoccurring expense, and I don't want to pinpoint that one particular SBR, and I'm not saying I'm in favor or I'm against, having that discussion when it's in a proposed budget on May 6th makes no sense to me. You're going to tank an entire proposed budget that if I ask 6 questions, there might be 6 board members sit here and say, you know what, you have a point, I don't like that SBR. So are they going to tank the entire process because of one SBR in a budget, because at May 6th is the first time they hear those questions?
But there'll be time after May 6th to adjust.
There may be, but I'm not voting for a budget, proposed or not,
And you
if there's an
have that.
SBR in there that I don't agree with.
you have that right to do that.
Sure.
Just remember, it's a proposed budget, and then we have other meetings after that that can change those. We've done that in the past.
I agree, I apologize. I was trying to suggest might be a better way in the public's eye on these SBRs to have the discussion prior to May 6th. But I'm okay with May 6th.
And the only thing I'm just gonna add to that, I'm kind of in Kenny's camp that, if I vote on a preliminary budget to approve it on May 6th, I want to be able to stand by that for the final budget as well. And that's where kind of going blind into May 6th without knowing, what the recommendation is for the increase that's going to be needed to make that happen. That's the only thing I'm a little uncomfortable with. I don't ever want to be a board member that once I approve a preliminary budget that I'm going to flip-flop and say no a month later. I will never do that to you.
Yeah, we want to make sure that what we're coming with is our very, very best proposal with the information that we have in hand on May 6th, and that's certainly our goal. It's a really, really important process, one that our team takes really seriously.
I'm not questioning any of that. I'm just a little concerned about having to vote on it the same night.
I would agree.
But to be clear on that, it's a proposed budget. I look forward to a very robust discussion, my colleagues' questions and mine as well. It's a proposed budget, and I think that I actually don't share your sentiment. I could go either way one time or the other, depending on what's really in there, but there's opportunity for the proposed budget to be changed on its way to the final budget, and I really look forward to a robust conversation on May 6th.
Thanks.
And if I could suggest, because I know the administration fairly well yet, an email to them with any serious question you have right now, you would get a reply sooner rather than later.
My questions aren't to the administrator, my questions are going to be to the board, to the people, if the SBR is in there. So I don't want to put it out there because I don't know if the SBR is in there, but I agree. I could go to any of these administrators, and like I've said that publicly, but my questions aren't to them. My question's going to be, if I foresee right, will be the direction of the board and what they've voted on in the past.
Kristen, 4 o'clock.
If you can make it. All right, hearing no other comments, stand adjourned.